leader of the Minutemen is speaking tonight at NYU,
Yeah.
and there's also a protest. I wonder how you feel about Minutemen speaking at colleges like Columbia and NYU, and the protest.
Schools can invite anybody they want. Anybody that gets invited should be treated as a guest and given a fair hearing. Nothing wrong with protesting. I thought, and said so repeatedly, with the treatment that this group got at Columbia was totally inappropriate. You have a right to speak. You don't have a right to keep somebody else from speaking, and jumping up on the stage is not, whether you beat them up or not, is not exactly giving them their ability to express themselves. Anybody that disagrees with the Minutemen, I'm sure if you talk to NYU, they'll be happy to give you a forum. And if you want to protest outside, I think that's perfectly appropriate. Protesting on college campuses is something that's good, I've always thought. It gives students a chance to exercise their constitutional rights, to press issues and try out some of their ideas, but you don't have a right to keep somebody else from speaking. And if NYU wants to invite the Minutemen, that's fine. Sure.
When you ran for mayor, you made a point of saying that your ability to finance your own campaign kind of made you independent from other people who were running. What do you think about the record-breaking fundraising done on a national level in both parties?
Well, somebody said that I had the record for the first quarter. I thought that was pretty cute. I didn't get a laugh from you. The truth of the matter is, it costs an enormous amount of money to get your message out. The cost of media is high and continues to go up. And given the size of the population getting to them, the only ways you really do that is through television and some print media, and that just costs a lot of money. So if you're going to be competitive, you have to. If there was a better ways to do it, I'd be happy to sign on. I see nothing wrong with people spending their own money if that's what they're willing to do to get their views out. I think that's great. It's true that not everybody can do it, but you know, to say that somebody shouldn't be allowed to spend their own money because they're wealthy and the other person isn't, well, this person had a better college education than that person. Should they not be allowed to run? Or they were lucky enough to be born in a family where they had lots of advantages. Should they not be allowed to run? It's not fair. Everybody comes with different attributes and different baggage, and they'll all adjust. And there's not a lot of evidence that money has had, that very wealthy people have been able to do much better. I think there was 2 years ago, somebody told me that 22 millionaires running for Congress and only 2 got elected.
Right. Oh, but the argument that you made was that it made you more independent, and that it kind of cast a shadow of doubt on the other candidates and who they're beholden to. Could you make that same argument on a national level if, per se, you were to run?
Well, I don't plan to run, so I don't know how to do that, and I'll leave it at that. Look, the reality is that people have to raise money. I think you solve a lot of the problems if who gives and what their interests are is available in a very timely fashion, like before the election. And then the public can decide whether or not the conflict is acceptable or not. But transparency and openness solves a lot of these problems. And one of the problems we've had is that you don't know who's giving, or it's the ways the reporting is such that you really can't track it back. You can't find out who they work for, who got them to do it, what their company's involvement is, does it own another company? There's all sorts of subterfuge used to basically hide, I guess is as good a word as any, who's giving to whom. And if you open things up, then I think the practical reality is you'll have to go out and raise money. And I think also it's fascinating, there's no evidence that you can't raise a lot of money if the public likes you. I mean, take a look at Howard Dean over the internet 4 years ago. It was, you know, all of a sudden an enormous amount of money. Barack Obama, you know, 6 months ago wasn't on the radar screen, today can raise an enormous amount of money. So the ability to raise money is there if you have good ideas or ideas that some people think are good. Some people think you're attractive. And if nobody wants you, then it's much harder to raise money, but maybe that's the first test. So Anyways, yes, and last question, and we'll go to the next one.
Tomorrow marks Elliot Spitzer's first 100 days in office. How would you rate the job he's done?
Well, the same answer I gave when I was after my first 100 days. You spend the first 100 days getting ready for the rest of your 4-year term, and I think Elliot is a very smart guy. We all want him to be a great governor. I think the budget, as I told you, treated New York as well as we could hope for. You always want more, but fundamentally there are an awful lot of parts of the budget that I agreed with and relatively few that I didn't. He's got to deal with in the real world, and he's off to a good start, I would say. But the real test is over the rest of the 4-year term, or until he, assuming he runs for re-election, goes before the voters, and then he's going to have to show what he did, not in the first 100 days, but in the first 3 3/4 years. And you build a team at the beginning, and it's the team that in the end does the work, not the executive. The reason that this administration has been successful here is the team. The team is the 300,000 people that work for us, the 7 deputy mayors, the 40-odd commissioners, the chancellor, the people behind me who are a part and parcel of this city, and it's putting that group together. That's what really makes the difference. So I'll leave you with 3 words. Anybody know what they are? Let's go, Mets.